Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and hopefully you've been following this series on closures. And I've been showing you in each video a different closure you can add to your books. So the first one I showed you was the swivel, where you can swivel and open. Then I showed you how to use the brad closures to make some magnetic closures. And now we're on to our third page, and this time I'm going to show you how I use my folio strips to make a corset closure. Now in the previous video I showed you how to use the photo slots to make a photo space for your album. So this is going to keep our pages quite nice and flat because we haven't got much space between our spine spaces, our hinges. This time we've only got that 1/4 inch, so that's why I haven't added any pockets or anything to the left hand side. Just a nice flat photo space, which is nice as well. And I've already cut my paper, as you can see. So I'm going to stick them all down straight away. And if you want to know the measurements and how I cut this, it was in the first closure video, which is the second part of the tutorial, because part one was making the base pages and the cover. And for this one, I am going to flip it so we've got a bit of the red coming through, tuck it in and down. But if you want a reminder of the sizes, we cut our 12 by 12 pages at 8 1/4 tall. We cut it down the middle at 6 inches. So I gave us 6 inches for this side, which just went straight on after curving the corners if you want to. And then 3 3/4 for the pocket, and the leftover went in there. And as I've done before, I'm going to add one of the journal cards. Actually, I'm going to swap it for that one. Yeah, okay, there we go. So let's glue this down. So again, if you haven't got the journal cards, it's not a problem. You just cut your 12 by 12 papers in half at 6 inches and then 4 4, and you'll get plenty of pages or pieces to fit onto here. Okay, so we've got our journal card down. So we can get rid of page 1, we don't need that. Oh, actually we don't need page 2. So folio strips. Now the folio strips started as part of the little envelope die. And you got your little folio circles, which were perfect circles with a hole cut perfectly in the centre. And I asked the Cool Katz, please, 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 can you make a die with just these, which cut out more? Because the way I made them, I needed quite a lot. And it took us a long time to cut them out when you just had the two. So, as kind as they were, they brought out the folio strips, which meant one pass of the die machine would cut 6 of these. So that sped up the process a lot. And you have 3 different circles. So these then mat onto this, and these mat onto this. So you can make your folios in either of those two shapes and still have circles to decorate onto it. Now, at the end of a lot of my projects, I end up with lots of strips like this. So I just spend an evening taking my die cutting machine and cutting a bunch of circles. So then when I need them, I have a bunch of them ready to go. And to make your regular just closure one, you would only need to pass it through once. And that would give you a closure. Let me grab a different album. A closure like this. Because you just need one at the top and one at the bottom. So I'll show you that, but I'm actually going to show you a corset page, which is one of my favourite closures because it really does add quite a bit of interest to your album. Just poking at the holes from the middle. Now I would need to send that through 2 more times to get enough circles for what I want today, but luckily, because I've done it for other projects, I've already got them here. So I've got a bunch of circles and I'm going to make my little closures. So what I've got are small brads, again the same I used for my swivel, and then a bunch of the circles ready to go. So I take one circle, and if you know some die cutting, you get a nice beveled front, and the back then is not quite as tidy and neat. So what I do is I put my glue on the back, and I take a circle and I place it on top, and just make sure it's in the middle. And it does help because the circle will still show. So there's one. There's 2. Three. So I'm aiming for having 6. Number 4. Oh, that one's a half cut. Oh, that hasn't got the hole poked up quite yet. What was that, number 5? And 6. So I'll just set them off to dry there. I need more circles later, so I'll keep them there. So let's bring this back, and this time I'm going to use the next circle down. Which is this one. And I'm trying to find some scrap paper which will go with this. Should we go for more of the orange? What else have we got? I think we'll have to go with this. Oh, we could use that because it's the same as what we've got. So let's do. Now these are the mats for our 6 corset closures. So I only have to send this one through once. So let's make sure it's taped down. Just come out a little bit. So I've cut all 6 in one pass. I don't think I really need to, but I think because I've started, I'll just ink the edge. So I'm doing this now. It's giving those discs I did earlier time to dry. Let's just make sure we poke out the holes. There we go. Right. So let's bring back those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 doubled up circles. We're just going to take our decorative paper and stick it on top. So if you were just doing a closure like I showed you in that other album, you only need 2. But a corset one, we need 6. Here we go. So just give them a second to dry. And one more thing we will need is a closure at the end of our ribbon. So what I'm going to do is find a circle just a bit smaller. Now these circles all come from our Perfect Circle kit. So if you go to the Cool Katz website, which I'll link in the description below, they've even got large folio circles, which is what I used for the album you saw earlier. So there's no circles in there to fit. Let's find, do I have something here? Yes, I do. There we go. These circles are just a tiny bit smaller than our folio circles. Cut it out the same paper so it all matches. So let's just ink the edges of these. And we'll keep them for later on. Okay. So now it's time to start assembling our corset. So we're going to do it exactly the same 6 times. We're going to take our doubled up circle and put our brad through. Then we're going to take a single folio circle and place it behind and open up the brad. So there's one. What that is going to do is the back one is in effect loose. It's tied on with the brad. When you get one of those brads that just won't open. But it's not glued. So we've got a little gap in between the doubled up and the single one. That's where our thread will go. It's quite a clever little idea. And it means you don't need to worry about putting this closure on before putting your decorative paper. I mean, you could do. You could mark all your holes and things, but it's just a bit more complicated this way. Just by adding that one extra circle, means you're just giving yourself a little bit of an easier time. And, oh, I think I'd send brads out on the last one. There we go. So there's our 6 corset folio strips, which will go like so. Let's take our double-sided tape and just put some on the back of each one. This is going to hold that brad leg down, so I'm squeezing it on, and it's going to hold these in place for now, but I wouldn't trust it in the long run, so I'm going to add glue as well. But if I just had glue, I'd be scared of it all moving. If I just had tape, I'd be worried about it not lasting. Okay, so let's have a look and place number 1. Let's grab my ruler and I'm gonna place it against, the right way around, my drill card, which I know is 6 inches. So 3 inches would be there. So that is now in the middle because the circle is touching the 3 inch. I'm going to take a second one now and I'm going to place it at 1 inch. And my third one at my 5 inch mark. Depends which way your ruler is. There's 1 inch in from each side. And then my other 3 I'm going to place just side on. Oh, I'm taking the tape off. That wouldn't have worked. There we go. So I'm just squeezing them all on, and I can take my Teflon tool and just get in and squeeze. So making sure I'm pushing that bottom one on, because remember we've got that loose one at the bottom which is sticking to our papers. And then normally I would leave that for quite a while just to set up, but of course we are filming, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of time by prepping my ribbon end or my thread end. So I'm going to take 2 more of my folio strips and glue those smaller circles on top. So I don't mind there's a hole in the middle because I'm not going to see it. There we go. And a little bit of tape behind one of them. And those then are just going to go onto the end of my ribbon. So let's pretend this has had time to dry. And then we're not going straight onto it. Let's have a look. This is 1 mil wax cord. So it's a nice thin cord. And I'm going to go that way, that way, that way, that way, that way, that way. Or I want it to come that way. So let's start on this one. So I'm lifting up to create that space between my cardboard circles. So I don't want to go under the one I've glued because that's just going to tear the whole thing off. So make it sure you're in between them. Yes, I have done it before where I've gone too early, like I'm doing now, and haven't given it time to dry and lifted the whole thing off because I've taken my wax cord underneath my black one instead of between that sandwich. So I'm going to go left, making sure I'm lifting so I can get under, making sure I'm between. Let's have a look. This is why you really do want to leave it dry so you can make sure you are going into the correct space. There we go. Now we're going to come down to this one, straighten that out and across. So you're lacing it up, well, like a corset, one of the old-fashioned corsets. And trimming it off. So you can see now why it's called a corset closure. Now I need to pull it a bit tighter there to get the correct effect. So the more times you've done it, the looser that gap is and the easier it all threads together. There we go. And now, to finish off, let's just attach these two circles on the end. And there we go, a corset closure. And as I said, you could do it with just two, like our folio page that I showed you in the other album, or as a three, which really does add quite a bit. And this looks nice on pockets. If you see my deluxe wallet album, you see I've used lots of this method on that. So there we go, closure number 3. So right now you're starting to get a nice choice of closures for your album, and only one actually using magnets, which people think are your go-to. So swivel, magnet, corset or folio. So what will number 4 entail? I wonder if it's going to have something sliding, because I think we're going to do a slider closure. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, give it a little thumbs up and write your comments about how you're enjoying the closure series and how yours are coming along. And remember to share as well in Paper Crafting with Paul, my Facebook group, which has got a link underneath as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.